What's good, y'all? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you are feeling blessed out there. We are back with another YouTube video. Before I dive into today's topic, I want to remind you the primary goal and message of this channel is to prioritize your health. We often put it on the back burner. We're focused on bills and family and work. If you pour into yourself first, you'll be able to have more capacity to pour into others. With working with a wide demographic of people and training hundreds of individuals all across the world, having great mentors, colleagues, and clinicians by my side, one thing that's always constant is that this is always evolving. There's new information out there and we're always learning. The more that we can understand people and their story and help bridge the gap with some of our experiences and anecdotes plus the research, the more that we can help people, guide them in a direction and be an advocate for them to take action. With that being said, today's topic is going to be engagement. As far as people taking action, one of the biggest hurdles for a lot of people is that they get bored. We all do, especially with more information, a whole bunch of this all the time, watching Netflix and seeing all these other things. You can literally just flip from one thing to the next within seconds. And it's like this constant dopamine of like, I need to change, I need to change, I need to change. And it coincides with healthcare. We see something, it's like, okay, this is kind of working, but I'm already bored. It's been a week. Let me change like all of the exercises I'm doing if you are already training. Or you even get this like kind of like paralysis before you begin. It's like, okay, if I do this and I trial it for 5 or 6 months, like, did I waste time? It's like, well, if you do nothing, you got no result. So the biggest thing is finding something that's engaging, being able to make iterations and work with the ebbs and flows and be able to adjust, but also do it for a long enough time to be able to collect data and see if it's actually working or you're making progress within that. So from an engagement standpoint, it comes back to your personality, understanding who you are and finding more of who you are throughout that process. I always am going to be somebody to employ taking action, and whatever's going to be helpful, that's going to give you that nudge to do so, start with that. So of course, in a perfect world, we're trying to progress and get to a point where we incorporate resistance training and strength training multiple times a week. We find ways to, get out of like a sedentary mindset and lifestyle and start finding ways to, ingrain movement throughout the day, whether walking, whether taking stairs instead of the elevator, whatever the case is. But I like to find more of the fun ways, and this comes from the understanding of the psychology of the individual and getting to learn them and build their rapport. This is obviously from the lens from like a coach to a client, but even just talking to you and how you can kind of view it is like, ask yourself good questions. All positive results in reaching progress honestly comes from a story, understanding and asking really good questions, bridging the gap between where you're thinking you may be able to go and where the end result actually is, and then doing all you can to obviously not just throw everything at the wall and see if it sticks, but sometimes if that's where your starting point is, do so, because again, that is action over inaction. So simple ways that can get somebody moving. It could be something as simple as dancing around the house. You live with somebody, you don't live with somebody, you like music, put some music on, start dancing. Do that for 10 minutes a day, periodically throughout the day. Now you've accumulated 30, 40, 45 minutes of movement that you didn't get before. Then from there, it's like, oh, okay, I want to do a Zumba step class. Sure, if that's your only, bout of movement twice a week, if you were doing none, that's amazing. You're increasing your bone mineral density, you're getting your heart rate up a little bit more, do that. Okay, now it's like I'm getting some movement. I maybe even have, lost some weight, but I feel like I'm still supposed to be, maybe stressing my system a little bit more. That's from like the sciencey side. But for, a client side or from the audience side, it's more of just like, I feel like I need to do more. Maybe, I need to actually like start to move some weight. I want to see a little bit of shape change, whatever that is for that individual. Great. Then you start to go in that direction. So engagement is definitely a barrier for a lot of people. I always am going to be on the side of, again, find what you find fun. There's going to be some stuff that is mundane and that may not be as fun, but if it allows you to do more of the fun, keep doing that. Like if I get somebody that, comes to me and they're used to, super high heart rate, they want to be in those, high intensity classes and those Zumba class, whatever the case is that keeps them flowing or going, do them. The main thing is then finding like that in between of like, okay, well, if every time you do them, you beat yourself up to a pulp and you barely recover from it, okay, then maybe we need to scale on the volume. But I don't want to fully strip that from them. Like if that's their fun, that's their fun. So we always are going to try to find a way to fuse those and have those work cohesively. But I think there's multiple ways to approach it from engagement. Do the things that you enjoy, be around people, connecting with other people, having a community of other people is a great tool as far as keeping you accountable and keeping you engaged in the thing. Imagine, you have people that really hold you to it and you miss a couple days, they texting you like, hey, where you been? Or, you're the motivation for me to get going. Like, I need you. Like those kind of conversations can be great to keep people going. Or even other things that are engaging for some people on a deeper level. It could be like, yo, like I have children that, want to play sports with me or play around with me in the backyard. And it's like, well, I don't want to be sitting down every time they need to move or they want to play soccer or tennis, whatever the case is. I want to be able to create those core memories with those people. That's something that's engaging to where even if it's not crazy and, enjoyment or fun, that's a driver for you to show up. So there's both sides of the coin as far as finding something that's fun and engaging, or that brings you enjoyment, to also like, no, this is just something that is a pillar and is rooted for me and I need to execute it. If you find a fusion of those two things and you do it for a long period of time, you're going to get over the hump and you're going to reach your desired goal. I would say another helpful thing as far as engagement is creativity. It's definitely going to be a repeated topic and I might sound like a broken record, but creativity, exploration, and discovery are huge when it comes to that. As far as engagement, when you take action and you start, even if you don't get the desired outcome, but you get close, you're still much closer and it may drive you to where you actually want it to go or where you want it to be. Maybe some people, going back to the example of like a Zumba or a high intensity, maybe they start with that style of class and they run into somebody within that class, within that community, and that person only goes to that class once a week, but then they end up doing CrossFit like 3 or 4 days of the other week. And maybe they go to that CrossFit, class or session at that other gym. And that's the thing that gets them over the hump. Like maybe they can only sustain the Zumba once, but they do that and they end up going to the gym at the same time with that person. They hold each other accountable. They get extremely strong. They see all these physical changes. Their metabolic health is improving. And that's something that they can sustain for the long haul. Voila. Like it can literally be as simple as that. So yes, I know we're looking for like that instantaneous change where it's like, okay, I'm going to stick to this one thing. I'm going to do it forever and I'm good. Like, do you know how many times, especially people in spaces that I'm around, like have dabbled in everything and we continuously like, you know what, that looks cool. Like without getting like shiny object syndrome, even though we all do, we have different ebbs and flows in different seasons for that reason. But what I do know is that we probably learned something from it, taking the good from those things, taking that and making some iterations out of it. Like the amount of people I know that maybe had their start in something maybe bodybuilding related. And I'm not saying that's just a starting point. For some people that is amazing and it keeps them healthy and they, are in great condition and they're fighting off all these chronic diseases and things of that nature. But just using as an example, maybe their start was in bodybuilding. Then they were like, I want to get really strong. And then they went to powerlifting. Then they wanted to get super specific in kettlebell training. Then they wanted to learn Olympic lifting. Then they maybe wanted to go into high rock. Like it's so vast and the rabbit hole is so wide. Like even with getting into those intricate things and how there's nuances to energy systems and all that, driving back, the main point is they were engaged to do it. There was a skill, there was a challenge, there was I want to acquire this and obtain this. Like that competitiveness is something that may be lacking or missing from a lot of people. It's just like, well, like I can't do it. That looks cool optically, but that's not for me. And I'm like, the biggest thing is for all of us to spark and have these conversations to tell people like the gap from where you think you are to where that outcome isn't far. You're just looking at the top of the mountain and thinking that you need to be there within a week. And that's the part that deters you from even starting or trying. And the main message is just like, 1 is better than 0. Do more than you were doing today and then repeat that process throughout the days and throughout the weeks. And that compounding effort over and over and over again is going to get you up closer to that mountaintop. Now, it's not going to look like this. It may look like this and then this, and then you find your way back up. That's literally as simple as it can get. and find more environments, find more communities, find more people that will be your support system. If you don't have one, you got to be your own, and it may be difficult, but promise you, there's people out there like that that want to drive that message, that want to be in your corner, that want to keep you accountable, and eventually finding a way for you to have it intrinsic within yourself. That is the message of the video. I just want everybody to take action, spark these conversations, whether it's at your dining room, your lunchroom, and just provoke that thought of like, you know what, you're right. I need to do this because I can better my health. I can better how I think clearly. I can feel just more confident, be in a better mood. Like all of those things just from even a couple hours a week of just moving some weight, moving your body. So that's all I got. Till next time, like, comment, subscribe. Peace.